Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be going over all the books that I am hopeful to read in the month of May. One thing about me is I'm a huge mood reader, so very much TBD on if I'll actually get to these. There's a lot of romance books in my selection for the month of May, mostly because I feel like as we lead up towards summer, I really want to read that was my cat that just ran by. I really want to read like feel-good books, so stuff that I could like sit by the pool and read, and just those types of books. They don't necessarily have to be like a summer book itself, but I have found my reading choices during this time frame. I love a good romance book, but I also like to sprinkle in a thriller book as kind of like a palate cleanser between them. So in my selections that I have picked, there is a few thrillers in here, but it's mostly romance books. So let's jump into it. A lot of these books I have zero idea of what the premise is, so I'm going to read the synopsis with you guys and we can review them together. But the first book that I have on my pile is You with a View. I feel like I've seen this book everywhere, particularly on Instagram. I've just seen this everywhere and everyone raves about this book. I love the color. I love the cover of this book. It's just so fun and it looks good on the shelf, but then also the spine of this book I think is adorable and will also look good on a shelf or anything like that. So I picked up You with a View, and this is two former high school enemies must reunite for a road trip inspired by their grandparents' broken engagement and this electric debut romance. Oh, I had no idea this was Jessica Joyce's debut romance. How fun. So our main character, Noelle, is unemployed, living with her parents and grieving the loss of her beloved grandmother when she discovers decades-old photos of Graham and a smitten man tucked alongside a love letter. She creates a TikTok. Sometimes I don't love when social media is mentioned in a book, but so I'm really hoping this doesn't turn me off of it, but we'll continue on. She creates a TikTok to search for the mystery man, which goes viral, and she's shocked when his grandson responds, a man who happens to be her high school nemesis, Theo Spencer. Ooh, drama. Noelle refuses to let Theo's annoying accomplishments in adulthood or his sexy smirk stand in the way of meeting his grandfather and unlocking the secrets he knew about her Graham as a young woman. When she learns that their plans to elope were thwarted. Noelle decides to take the honeymoon road trip they planned but never got to carry out. That's it. There's a catch though. Paul, Theo's grandfather, asks to come with her and he insists that Theo join them. It'll be a miracle if they make it through the trip without Noelle throwing Theo out of the moving car or the bed they end up sharing. A one-bed trope? Literally love. I love that trope. So, okay, we're making up for it. It may mention TikTok, but like a one-bed trope, love. Anyways, as the miles tick by, the tension simmers hotter between them until she discovers that Theo's hiding a secret that could cause the tenuous relationship to end before it can restart. Drama, juicy, sounds perfect for summer if you're asking me. So if you haven't heard of this book, definitely look into it more. One, cover's beautiful, and it sounds like it's a high school enemies to lovers kind of thing, but I guess they're more like rivals, because I feel like only like fantasy books can truly do enemies to lovers, because what do you mean he's an enemy? Like, what's he gonna do? Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, anyways, I feel like this is really fun. I love this cover. I think it's stunning. So I'm hoping to get to this book in May. Now this next book is highly anticipated for me for this year, so I'm very excited to get to it. It is probably going to be a book that I actually read within the next week or so, and it's Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. I mean, take a moment for this cover. Beautiful, stunning. Here is the spine. If you've never read an Abby Jimenez book, this book can be a standalone, so you can read it on its own, but it does take place in the world of two of her other books. So the other two books in this world are Part of Your World and Yours Truly. I've read both of them and I loved both of them. I personally liked Part of Your World more, but I know a lot of people ate and devoured Yours Truly. So I'm curious to see how this one we get in this world. So when we say like in this world, I've heard that there's Easter eggs basically of like other characters making an appearance. So it's not the end of the world if you haven't read the other two. It would just make this one probably more fun seeing the other characters pop in and out of the story. All right, enough of me yapping. Let's read the back of this book. 4 dates, a kiss, and a breakup. That's all it will take to find their soulmate. When it comes to love, Emma is cursed. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up, but it turns out she's not the only one afflicted with this condition. His name is Justin, and his Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Another freaking social media platform. This is crazy. To be fair, I don't use Reddit. Like, I'll Google something and click Reddit threads to find like my answers and stuff, but I am not a Redditor. Is that what they're called? I'm just not someone on Reddit. But anyways, so another social platform on here in another book. Now the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curse will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be so unbelievably cute and hilarious. But when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings. Has fate finally brought the perfect pair together, or will their cure be more hazardous than the cure itself? So one thing to know about Abby Jimenez, these are not light, fluffy reads. Like, yes, there's fun moments in them, but girly knows how to make these books deep and emotional, so I'm very excited to get to this. I've seen a lot of people, like in the reviews, comment on how they were so shocked at how like emotional they got towards the end or like throughout this book. So I'm prepared. I want to feel those feelings. I want to be so obsessed with a book that I just can't put it down, and I'm hoping this is it. I've only had 1 5-star read this year, so I'm hoping this is a 5-star read for me. But very excited to read this, as it is one of my most anticipated reads for this year. The next book I don't have a physical copy of, but of course it's Funny Story by Emily Henry. I mean, we've got to read it. I'm a Emily Henry stan. I love all of her books. Personally, for me, Beach Read is my all-time favorite, so I'm curious to see where Funny Story will line up with the rest of her books. I have seen a lot of people before the release say that they love this book, and now that the book is out, I'm seeing more mixed reviews. So I'm curious on what I will think of it, but let me pull up the Goodreads page for it and we can read it together. Shimmering, joyful new novel about a pair of opposites with the wrong thing in common. Daphne always loved the way her fiance Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love over an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He was really good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend Petra, which is how Daphne begins her new story. Stranded in beautiful Waning Bay, Michigan, without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian that barely pays the bills, and proposing to be roommates with the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Nowak. Scruffy and chaotic, with a penchant for taking solace in the sounds of heartbreak love ballads, Miles is exactly the opposite of practical, buttoned-up Daphne, whose co-workers know so little about her they have a running bet that she's either FBI or in the witness protection. The roommates mainly avoid one another until one day, while drowning in their sorrows, they form a tenuous friendship and a plan. If said plan also involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their summer adventures together, well, who can blame them? But it's all just for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne, who would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance ex, right? So this sounds very all over the place and tropes and everything. I'm curious to see what I think of it. I've seen a lot of people say Miles is just not who they expected as a leading man, and that intrigues me because I feel like all of Emily Henry's leading mans in her books, people are like obsessed with. So I'm curious to see how this goes. This is definitely also a top priority read for me, as well as just for the summer. I'm planning on actually doing a reading vlog of reading both of those books because they're so anticipated for me. And fingers crossed, one of them is a 5-star, because I literally only have had 1 5-star this year, and I'm like, I need a book. I need a book that I can just obsess over and make it my new personality trait. Do you know what I mean? So very excited for Funny Story. I am going to be reading it digitally because my collection is all paperbacks and I want to keep it that way. So I will be waiting a year for the paperback, and it kills me because I love a physical copy. Anyways, those are the romance books that I plan on reading for this month in May, and I'm very excited. I feel like it's a nice mix. Overall, I've seen a lot of great reviews of all of them, and I feel like they are also perfect books to lead in summer. So those are the romances. I have 2 thriller mystery books that maybe I might read as like palette cleansers in between them, or like if I've read too many romances in a row, I'll switch in a thriller. So the first book that I have here is actually The Maidens by Alex Michaelandes. I really hope I just said his last name right. But I've read The Silent Patient and I personally loved it. I've seen a lot of people say it was very predictable and like it wasn't that great. I didn't guess it, so I was shook and gagged when that reveal happened. So very much a fan of his work, and this will be the second book that I've read from him. And I think when this first came out, people were really critical of it and they didn't love it, but I feel like I've seen more and more people slowly start to read this if they didn't read it fresh on release day, and I think people have said they enjoyed it. So again, mixed reviews. I'm curious. I don't know anything about it. It's dark academia. Personally, for thrillers, I don't like reading the backs, so I'm not going to read the backs of these two. And then the next book that I have is Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. If you know me, Ashley Winstead's one of my favorite authors. I've read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and The Boyfriend Candidate. Those are both 5 stars for me. I just love her. I'm a huge fan, so I'm very excited to get to this one. Again, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews, kind of on the bad side. Like, a lot of people were very disappointed, but I'm trying to go in very open-minded, don't know anything, because I don't want to compare this to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because that one was just unparalleled so good, and this one, again, zero idea what this book is about, and I'm not going to read the little summary of it. So this will be a mystery for all of us. I might do a reading vlog of reading these two thriller mystery books and like doing my reactions, but we'll see. But I'm very excited. I feel like I have a lot of fun books to read for the month of May, and I'm curious on where my ratings will stand with them. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Those are all the books that I have on deck to read for the month of May. Who knows if I'll actually read all of them, given that I'm such a mood reader. Fingers crossed I do, because I'm actually so excited for them. But we'll just have to recap again at the end of May and see what I actually read. But that's it. Let me know what you plan to read for the month of May, or if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.